They're staring at 5 Ivy League games down the stretch. This is a key one coming up. About time for the ball to get kicked, and Yale will be doing that, and we'll see the Bucknell offense first. Jack Bosman set to kick off for the Bulldogs. Bosman out of San Diego, California. Good news for his baseball team last night, taking the Dodgers to the brink. The opening kickoff is going to be returned well by Bucknell on that far sideline out to the 40-yard line. That is one of their playmakers, Damian Harris. You'll see him at wide receiver. The junior out of Durham, North Carolina. Couldn't ask for a better start for the Bison.
It's not how Coach Reno wanted to start the game, but that was a nice return, hit a nice seam, blocked it up really well.
So Ethan Grady, the 6'2", 215-pound sophomore out of Manhattan Beach, California. And first play of the game is a handoff, spinning his way forward, close to the first down. A gain of 9 for Rashawn Baker, the sophomore out of Victor, New York. It is 2nd and 1 for Bucknell. Keeping it on the ground, getting the first down across midfield. Good start offensively.
The big thing for Bucknell is to establish an offense. Last week in the Holy Cross game, they really got overwhelmed early in the game, got down big. They've had issues with just establishing offense. They're only averaging 228 yards a game, which is a very low number. Right? They're off to a nice start here with a great return and a first down.
Bucknell keeps it on the ground and forward for a couple down to the Yale 47-yard line. That interior of the Yale defense converged and swarmed that time. This is the way Yale expected Dartmouth to start the game last week.
Exactly. And, of course, they started out, they threw, I think, the first 5 or 6 plays. And again, there was a little bit of a question of who the quarterback was going to be today. So the Yale defense has kind of had to make some adjustments on the run early in the game. Had to be pretty vanilla and see what's coming at you.
Grady statistically is not someone who's going to hurt them running. They hand off this time to Danny Muser, the junior out of Dallas, PA, and it'll set up 3rd and 5.
Danny Muser played high school football for one of my best friends, Rich Manello, at Dallas High School.
Opening drive of the ball game. Bucknell coming in looking to win for the first time in 13 games. They've lost their last 12. Grady to throw, or try to, but he's going to be sacked. Brought down Clay Patterson, the big junior out of Frisco, Texas, with the big defensive stop back at his own 45. And we have an injured Bulldog on the play as well.
Similar to last week, Yale rushed 4 and got to the quarterback. That was a flat out. He beat a guy one-on-one, overwhelmed the quarterback.
So as the Yale medical staff tends to the injured player,
You're not the next Tom Brady. You're the next you. Compare yourself to nobody but the kid in the mirror. The one who knows that who you are today is just a piece of who you're going to become. Sincerely. You are.
Injured Yale player was senior defensive end out of Austin, Texas, Oso Ifesina Chikwu. He as you can see, was able to walk off with help from the Yale medical staff, is now in the medical tent as Bucknell gets set to punt after the Bulldogs gave up a first down but then held. The punt comes down, taken inside the 10, and that's where the Yale offense will begin, pinned deep in their own territory. We'll keep an eye on Oso as the game goes on. And now, Jack, we get to see this Yale offense, which has Nolan Grooms at quarterback. We talked about him, and Trey Peterson, the running back, number 0, but he does 0. The only time you talk about 0 with him is the jersey number, because he gets a lot of positive yards.
He had a great day last week. I think he's kind of come into his own here, and he runs hard. He breaks tackles. He's very decisive. I really like his running style.
So Grooms in the gun and looks to throw on first down and completes it to David Pantelis, the sophomore out of Pittsburgh, PA. Still on his feet across the 40 at the 41-yard line. A pickup of 32 yards on Yale's first play from scrimmage. That is Pantelis' team-leading 20th catch of the year. And the handoff goes to Peterson this time, the junior out of Columbus, Georgia. And he'll pick up a yard out to the 43.
Pantelis, Grooms, and Peterson are 3 guys who really had great offensive games last week. And they're starting right where they left off. One of the things we didn't mention in the pregame, one of the things that what happened with Oso, one of the things the coaches don't want to have happen today is have injuries going into that crucial part of your season.
Fake the handoff, looks to the air, incomplete, looking for Mason Tipton, the junior out of Akron, Ohio. He has the second amount of catches on this Yale team with 17 entering today's ball game. You want to see Yale get him even more involved.
Without a doubt, and you know, he had him. He had him beat by a step, just slightly overthrown, showing they want to go to him. I mean, you know, he's a guy that's really capable of big plays. Had a touchdown last week, but I think they'd like to see him get it more.
3rd and 9 for the Bulldogs. Grooms, quick throw. This is Pantelis again, and Pantelis will come up a few yards shy of the first down, even with that nice stretch at the end. It gets to the 49, and it sets up 4th and 3. And I'll say the offense reluctantly will take that jog off the field.
Yeah, Yale likes to isolate Tipton as the single receiver. Pantelis is a slot receiver many times on the 3 receiver side. He tends to get more of the ball control type throws. Tipton gets more of the balls that are down the field.
Bosman to punt. And it will be an excellent punt. You can't ask for better than that as it goes out of bounds. They'll say it first went out of bounds at the 5-yard line.
Well, both punters are off to a good start. Yale got the ball inside the 10, and now Bucknell's going to get it inside the 10. So the ball moved 90 yards. It just didn't move 90 yards on offense.
Yeah, Bucknell started its first drive up at the 40. So 35 yards worse field position for drive number 2 for Ethan Grady and the Bison offense. Baker is the back behind Grady. Fake, and the throw is a one-hopper. And 2nd and 10 coming up for Bucknell.
They try to get him, you know, short throw, first throw of the game. And one of the things with Grady Ethan is going to be, can he keep the ball moving, throwing the football? They are less than a 50% passing team.
From his own end zone, has to throw quickly, gets it off, completes it, and out to about the 14-yard line, maybe forward up to about the 14 and a half. And that is Baker again.
He got that ball off under heavy pressure, and very positive play, 9-yard gain, 3rd and short, big play for Bucknell.
Fans in attendance implored to make some noise on this third down. 3rd and half a yard. And they give, and this is Baker again, and Baker is off to the races into Yale territory and deep and being chased down. It is a touchdown-saving tackle by Wande Owens, the senior out of Cooksville, Maryland. But Bucknell is set up inside the Yale 20 at the 10-yard line of the Bulldogs. They'll mark it now right at the 10.
That's a huge change of events.
Just as quickly as the punters changed the way the field position was going, Rashawn Baker did it himself there.
Without question.
And now Alex Brown in at quarterback. Brown gonna fake, keep himself, and gets wrapped up, going nowhere on that right side. 2nd and 10 coming up from the 10.
Brown played a couple snaps last week and was basically a wildcat quarterback. Had 2 runs for about 16 yards. He's a freshman.
He's out of Rumson, New Jersey, went to Red Bank Catholic High School. That is known as Springsteen country. 2nd and 10, and lose the snap. That's the type of mistakes you'll see when a team is having problems winning, and now they go from 2nd and goal at the 10 to 3rd and goal from the 22.
I mean, you hate to say it, but those are the things that make you be an 0-5 team. I mean, they just made the biggest play of this football game and then turn around 2 plays later. It's just a bad snap is all it was, and now you're in a long yardage situation.
3rd and goal from the 22. Brown looks to throw, incomplete. Sailed it over the head of Damian Harris, the intended receiver. And Bucknell has also had kicking problems. They lost their first game of the season by just 1 point in overtime, and the difference was they failed their point after. Otherwise, maybe they'd still be playing.
They really need this field goal. They need to go ahead in this game, and they had a big positive play.
This is the field goal attempt from Matt Shearer, and it is good. So the reverse kibosh. They said they were struggling with prize. Bucknell entered 0-5, has the 3-0 lead over Yale midway through the first. That huge run from Rashawn Baker got them 1st and goal at the 10. They had the miscue and made the long field goal and have the 3-0 lead over the Bulldogs. Yale set up for its 2nd possession, returned out across the 20 to the 25-yard line. And that was Joey Felton, the junior out of Frederick, Maryland, who made the return. We were talking to his dad before the game, and it was less than a year ago. He had spinal fusion surgery. He was basically told, hey, you're not going to play football again. But father was very proud of how much work he and his team of doctors put into getting him here, and a nice return to get Yale its 2nd drive of the ball game. Grooms barking the signals. Gives the handoff, and rumbling through that pile up to the 30-yard line is Pitzenberger for the Bulldogs.
Pitzenberger was the leading rusher going into last week, besides Grooms, and then Peterson had the huge game. Pitzenberger really didn't play much last week.
Freshman out of Bethesda, Maryland is Pitzenberger. Here's Grooms. We know he can run, and he's got the 1st down and more out across the 45-yard line to the 46.
Bucknell brought pressure from the 2nd level, ran right by him, and of course that's one of the things that Grooms is great at. He steps up, steps through, and he's got all kinds of room to run.
His dad was a football coach, so one of the things he was really proud of as a kid was how many Friday night football games he'd be on the sidelines for from the time he was 4 or 5 years old, just watching. And you know what? You probably absorb a lot of good things when you're watching your dad coach.
That's how I started as a 5-year-old. I was the water boy for my dad's team.
Jackson Hawes had the gain that time, setting up 2nd and 5 for Yale. Handoff again goes to Pitzenberger. Down to the 47.
This Bucknell defense takes a little getting used to. They list themselves as a 4-3. They truly are a 4-2-5. They have an extra D-back in the alignment, and he'll line up in a lot of different places. Right now, you actually see them 5 across in the secondary.
Grooms dropped to throw, but keeps himself, grinds forward, short of the first down by a yard. You have to think this is 4-down territory for Tony Reno. 4th and 1.
Yale's having a little bit of trouble sorting it out up front right now on the regular run plays. Because that was a 5 across secondary, should have been a pretty good run front to go into. But that was very well defended by the Bucknell front.
4th and 1 for the Bulldogs. And before the play, they will call a timeout.
Yale calls their first timeout for the half. 30-second timeout.
And we will step aside as well as the Bulldogs have a 4th and 1 coming up, trailing 3-0, 5:03 left first quarter in New Haven.
Fans, turn your attention to the video board.
So Yale called the timeout and decided to punt the ball here, at least to line up in a punt formation on 4th and 1 at the Bucknell 45, trailing 3-0. So Jack Bosman, the junior from San Diego, does punt it. Had a great punt the first time, looks to do it again, and will do it again as the ball sails out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. They'll mark it as going out of bounds if the official ever stops up at the 11-yard line. Okay, so the first one went out at the 5, and this one is officially out at the 11 in what I would call as a scientific guess process in terms of where it actually crossed the out of bounds line.
Two things that drive coaches crazy with officials are that's one of them, the guy walking up the sideline, you're like, when is he going to stop? The other one was the guy coming in from way away marking the ball, and he seems to be staggering in, and he's going to put it down, and it's going to be a matter of inches whether it's a first down or not.
Well, the bad field position didn't hurt Bucknell on its last drive. Grady is back in at quarterback after coming out for a few plays in favor of Brown on the last series. And that is just a short gain on the play because Hamilton Moore, the junior out of Raleigh, North Carolina, was there to make the stop for the Bulldogs.
I think Coach Reno punted that ball and basically wanted to challenge his defense. They need to make a stop, get better field position, establish themselves. Right now, they've been very erratic. Bucknell is running the football and doing a pretty good job with it.
2nd and 9. Baker again bowls his way forward up to about the 14-yard line.
This is a situation that Yale would like to force Bucknell into over and over again. 3rd and long, make them throw the football, get some pressure on the quarterback, and look for a big play.
Bucknell going deep in the direction of Damian Harris. And incomplete. He was covered step for step by Wande Owens. So Bucknell is forced into a punting situation.
Very good coverage. And Harris had a very acrobatic catch last week in the Holy Cross game on a very similar play, takeoff ball like that, going up in the air and turning himself. So they took a shot, but this is a big play for Yale right here in terms of field position.
Ruben Anderson to punt for Bucknell, and it's a good punt that taken by Yale at its own 44-yard line out across midfield. Flag comes in Ryan Lindley, the junior out of Austin, Texas, had the return. There is a flag. First time we'll get to hear from referee Henry Wimberg on a penalty today.
Illegal block on the back. Return team, number 88. 10-yard penalty for the spot and foul. First down.
As you would have expected, based on the timing and placement of the flag, it is on Yale, the return team. So it sets the Bulldogs back.
Still the best field position they've had. That certainly could have been a lot better, closer to midfield, but you got to feel a little bit better about where you are.
And to your point, Tony Reno challenged his defense. The defense responded. Now let's see if the Yale offense has something sustainable. Grooms throwing on first down, and it is caught out there by Mason Tipton, the junior from Akron, with a spin move out to midfield.
That's what Tipton can do. He can catch that, a 5-yard throw, and all of a sudden it's a 12, 14-yard gain. Made the first guy miss. Big play for Yale, big first down.
Peterson is bottled up for a loss of 3 back at his own 46-yard line. Mike Bright, the junior out of Woodland Park, New Jersey, had the tackle.
Again, Yale's struggling with the Bucknell front. They are struggling in getting bodies on bodies. That was a wide open tackle for a loss. Big play for Bucknell.
Second and long for the Bulldogs. Grooms barks the signals from the shotgun. Has time. Grooms still with time. Avoids some pursuit. And Grooms is going to end up running basically the full width of the field by the time all the zigging and zagging was done, and picking up a healthy gain and erasing the loss. It'll set up 3rd and about 8.
He's going to wear out a lot of people running around like that, defensive linemen and himself for that matter. But excellent pass protection, had all day, couldn't find anybody open.
3rd and 7 for Grooms and Yale. They're to the line relatively quickly. Tight end in motion. Grooms sets, throws, incomplete. Was looking for Jay Brunel, the intended receiver. But here's Bosman on to punt again for the Bulldogs. Gavin Pringle, the senior out of Baltimore, Maryland, one of the impact players on the Bucknell team, is back to return. We'll see if Bosman gives him a returnable punt, which he's been pretty good at avoiding doing thus far. Picks up the low snap, other side of the field this time. That'll bounce out of bounds inside the 20-yard line at the 12-yard line. So Bucknell is starting in familiar part of the field as we're still here. 2:08 left first quarter. Bucknell with the 3-0 lead over Yale. First time these teams are playing in 25 years. That was your first season as Yale head coach, 1997, when they last played.
A 1-point loss. Bucknell had a 10-1 team that year. Bosman's done a great job punting the football. This is 3 inside the 20, and Bucknell's a long ways away.
Dave Cicchini in his 4th season as head coach at Bucknell. Their best campaign in terms of optics was that 21 spring campaign. Optically, this is an excellent run, and out of bounds is Danny Muser, the junior out of Dallas, PA. Jack, it is both sides of the ball, offense and defense. The Bucknell front is having its way with the Yale front.
And Bucknell's excited. I mean, they're playing well. I think Yale players thought he was going out of bounds. He kept up in bounds and turned that into a huge play.
1st and 10 for Bucknell. This is Alex Brown, the freshman, back in at the quarterback position. So we will probably see both him and Grady. Brown much more of a running threat, and you'll see it there. Cross midfield down to the Yale 47. That'll keep a defense off balance.
I mean, Bucknell's definitely made the commitment to run the football. Whether it's with their backs or with the quarterback, I think they feel that Brown gives them a better running quarterback than Grady. So because they're running it so much, they're gonna stick with him a little bit.
Second and 5. Brown avoids it, avoids about 3 would-be tacklers, and runs forward, escapes, and gets the first down for the Bison to the 39 of the Bulldogs.
Broke 3 arm tackles and turned it into a first down.
Brown is 6'3", 195. It was Ayo Durajoy who made the stop for the Bulldogs. Another set of downs for Bucknell. Again, they've managed to have some big runs and escape some pretty poor field position. This time that whole host of blue jerseys is there to tackle Baker after a gain of maybe 1. And that will be the last play of the first quarter. With the score, Bucknell 3, Yale not 2 in the first quarter, 123 of it on the ground. They got the ball and the lead.
Very surprising, and Yale's got to pick it up here in the second quarter.
2nd and 9 for Bucknell. Of a hold. He got down to the 31-yard line. Would be a 4th and 2, but there's a flag back in the backfield, and it is, as suspected, holding against the offense.
It was a complete takedown. It was a tackle him, turn him around, looked like a WWF move.
So that will move Bucknell back. And the new line of scrimmage will be the 49 of Yale, just shy of it. So a full swing from where they would have ended up, about 18 yards. Back at their 49, 3rd down, need to get to the 29. 3rd and 20 for the Bison. This handoff goes to Muser, who's had some big ones, but not that time. Gets to the 45-yard line, and it sets up a 4th down punting situation for Bucknell.
The field position has been such a huge part of this game. Bosman has pinned them inside the 20 3 times, and every time they have made a big play to get themselves out of it and completely turn the field position going the other way. This could be another punt down inside the 20 in the other direction.
Ruben Anderson, the punter out of Lenexa, Kansas. That is an end-over-end kick, and Lindley makes the fair catch. So the Bulldogs go to work inside their own 15-yard line at the 13 as Nolan Grooms and company trot back out onto the field. Joshua Pitzenberger entering as the featured back to start this drive. Freshman out of Bethesda, Maryland, 6 foot, 205-pounder. First year is the more accurate term that I should use. Old habits die hard. First and 10 for the Bulldogs, trailing 3-0. The handoff is to that first year, Pitzenberger, and Pitzenberger out across the 15, up to the 17-yard line. It was Carson, Nathaniel Carson, the junior out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, who made the stop. Grooms makes that quick throw to Pantelis, and Pantelis has the catch out across the 20 to the 21, sets up 3rd and 2.
Bucknell was bringing heavy pressure, front side linebacker, strong safety, both coming. Grooms threw it right into the teeth of it. Hit the slant, but he made him go down. And it could have had a big play if he could have stayed on his feet. Yale is 0 for 3 on 3rd down so far.
Grooms is going to be crushed, lost the ball, fumble, recovered by Bucknell. As the Bison recover the fumble. John Schlendorf out of Toms River, New Jersey, made the hit. And the recovery, I think, was Patrick Quinlivan, the sophomore from Medway, Mass. So Bucknell, winless, 0-5 coming in, winless in 12 straight ball games, has a 3-0 lead, and now the ball, 1st and 10 on the Yale 16.
Yale is not sorted out this pressure that Bucknell is bringing. That extra guy that they have in the secondary that comes, he was unaccounted for. He punched Grooms on that one and knocked it out.
Grady, the quarterback, fakes the handoff, swings it out, completes it to Baker, who stepped back and spins forward, gets down to the 10-yard line, gain of 6.
That was a pretty good rhythm throw by Grady. But basically, anything they've completed so far has been screen, behind the line of scrimmage. That was a good rhythm throw, good 6-7 yard gain.
And that was Josh Gary out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, who made the catch, not Baker. Here's Baker out of the backfield. Baker with the carry this time and gets down to the 9-yard line, sets up 3rd and 3. And now Gary comes back in as a wide receiver position.
You're going to have Brown at quarterback, so it's a wildcat type situation. Empty.
3rd down and 3 for Bucknell, trying to capitalize on the turnover. High shotgun snap. Brown takes, has the room, and gets that 1st down inside the 6-yard line down to the 5. 1st and goal for Bucknell.
Yale initially had the play stacked up. They didn't set the edge. He bounced it outside, turned it into a big 1st down.
Baker comes out and Muser checks back in for Bucknell. Brown remains in at quarterback. 1st and goal on the 5. They had 1st and goal on the 10 way back in the 1st quarter, ended up having to kick a field goal. Now 1st and goal on the 5, looking to really capitalize on the Grooms fumble. Brown. And will get a yard to the 4. That was Owens who forced him out of bounds.
Tackled by 4. Owens.
So 2nd and goal on the 4 coming up for Bucknell. You get a look at that Yale defense. They've been on the field a long time already today.
That time of possession is better than 2-1, Bucknell.
Brown has that hole collapse quickly in the middle of the field. Picks up only 1 once again. So we had a 1st and goal from the 5, a 2nd and goal from the 4, and now it's going to be 3rd and goal from the 3. Hamilton Moore and Adam Rain made the stop that time for Yale, just crushing that hole. Third and goal from the 3. Bucknell with a 3-0 lead.
Quarterback under center. Unusual sight in college football now.
A true rarity. Give the handoff. And the hole is plugged by pick any one of 4 blue jerseys as Baker could not go anywhere. And it'll be 4th and goal from the 3.
Bucknell's they're having tough sledding trying to run it inside. Where they've really had success is on the edge with Yale losing contain or not setting the edge. You know, starting to play inside, bouncing it outside. Truly up the middle, it's been tough sledding.
So now 4th and goal from the 3. Grady, the quarterback. Looking for the corner of the end zone, incomplete. So the Yale defense stands. They held against a 1st and goal on the 5, and no points come on the board as a result of the turnover, as Grady tried for that corner of the end zone fade, but it was broken up well. 3-0 Bucknell remains the score. 8:34 left in the second quarter at Yale Bowl.
Yale possession.
Tony Reno on the Yale sideline, finding himself trailing 3-0. Bulldogs deep in their own territory, taking over in his 10th season as head coach. He was previously an assistant at Yale for several years under Jack Sidlecki, who's my partner in the booth today. Gets the first down completion to Mason Tipton, and quickly Yale escapes from its own 3 and is out to its own 15-yard line.
Another short throw to Tipton that turns into a 14, 15-yard gain. Getting out from the shadows of the goalpost.
Handoff goes to Peterson. Peterson, look at him making some men miss, just slithering his way through the defense, out across the 40 to the 43-yard line.
That is probably the first cleanly blocked run play we've seen. Body on a body. Peterson made a great cut, kind of broke through one guy and was into the secondary.
Could be in the midst of one of those game momentum swings right now. Grooms had the fumble, 1st and goal at the 5. The Yale defense holds, no points, and now 2 plays, and Yale is out across the 40 after starting at its own 3. Grooms being pursued this time, rolls away from it and is going to be throwing on the run, and it is Pantelis who made the catch despite being pancaked. There's a flag on the far side of the field. It was a gain of about 7 out to the 49-yard line. There is a flag down.
That was quite a catch. Yep.
Number 66, 5-yard penalty.
They got Nick Gargiulo for being ineligible downfield. That'll happen sometimes on those plays where the play extends forever. It's kind of a factor of time and space.
Without question. I mean, Grooms can extend plays more, maybe better than anybody that Yale's ever had. But
and lost on the stat sheet because it didn't happen, but we saw it was an unbelievable job by Grooms getting the ball in there, and Pantelis somehow holding on to it despite getting crushed. So 1st and long now for Yale. The handoff is given to Peterson, and he has those quick bursts and gets back to the original line of scrimmage at the 43-yard line.
The thing I really like about Peterson is he's a very decisive runner. He's a one-cut, plant the foot, and go. He's not going to jitterbug around. That was not a wide-open play. Wasn't a great job up front. Still was a 5-yard gain because he was very decisive, had great forward lean.
2nd and 10 for the Bulldogs, trailing 3-0. 7 minutes left, second quarter. As Grooms throws, completes it out on the far side, and that is going to be a Yale first down across midfield into Bucknell territory. That was Mason Shipp, the sophomore out of Monroe Township, New Jersey.
Grooms doing a good job finding the soft corner and making that short throw. That's the 3rd short throw that we've seen that's become more than a 10-yard gain on the completion.
1st and 10 for Grooms and company. Here's the handoff on 1st down. Flag comes in. That was Nathan Denny, the ball carrier, the sophomore out of Georgetown, Texas. 5'9", 206-pounder, but that is a hold.
Hey,
so that's coming back.
One good takedown deserves another. We had one on the Bucknell side. We just had one on the Yale side.
Puts Yale back on its own side of midfield. An update on a key injury from earlier. We saw Oso Ife Sinochukwu, the outstanding senior defensive end for Yale, injured earlier. He is on the sideline, on crutches, talking with his teammates, fist bumping his teammates. And we can see that. Don't have any official word or anything, but that is the update on him. So certainly not expecting him to be back in the game today. First and long now for Yale after the holding penalty, under 6 minutes to go in the first half. Complete out there, and that is Lindley, and they will say he is out of bounds back across the original line of scrimmage inside the 45 at the 44. So it'll set up a manageable chunk of yards to try and get near on second down.
That was a great effort, 12-yard gain on a ball that, could have been play that could have been made at the line of scrimmage.
Lindley's the junior out of Austin, Texas. Grooms, quick throw, swings out of the backfield for Pitzenberger. Pitzenberger is wrapped up and spins away from it and picks up a yard after the initial contact down to the 45. It'll set up 3rd and 9.
We have an interesting battle going on down here between Pringle and Tipton. They definitely wanted to go deep on that to Tipton, but Pringle did a good job covering him. He's a three-time All-Patriot League selection, so we got a good matchup there.
Grooms takes on 3rd down, calls his own number, cutting across the field, lowers the shoulder as he likes to do. Tony Reno probably doesn't like it as much, but he gets the first down for Yale, and they recover from the holding penalty and move the chains.
And get their first 3rd down conversion of the day. This has been a really good job by the Bucknell front. That was just a play made by an individual. That he scrambled, got out of there, and made a big play.
Grooms keeping himself again and out across the 30-yard line down to the 29. You see how quickly he can pick up forward yards.
And again, Bucknell's been doing a great job flowing to the ball, staying at, getting off of blocks. They ran the read play there where, get the run play going in one direction, get the defense going that direction. Grooms goes in the other. Pretty easy 7 or 8 yard gain there for him. Trying to slow down that Bucknell pursuit.
10th play of the drive coming up for Yale. Thrown, complete. Pantelis inside the 15-yard line. Another first down for the Bulldogs.
Great throw by Grooms. That ball was laid in there over the linebacker on the deep crossing route. Great route by Pantelis. And this is the first sustained drive that Yale has had in the game. The first time their offense has really looked legitimate.
3.5 minutes left, first half. Bulldogs trailing 3-zip, knocking on the door. Grooms looking for Pantelis again, goes up and comes down with incomplete. Incomplete. Pantelis, the sophomore out of Pittsburgh. As we take another look. As it just could not be held on to by Pantelis.
Yeah, he got behind him immediately. Might want to be thrown just a fraction sooner. Nice defensive play.
2nd and 10, Grooms. Looking that corner for Pantelis again. He also knew he had a guy coming. So incomplete, and it'll be 3rd and 10. 3:16 left in the first half.
Yale's sprint out pass attack has been very ineffective in this game. I don't think he's had a completion yet. And he had to throw it. Basically, Bucknell's doing a good job getting that extra defender in there, 3 against 2. And Grooms really has had nowhere to go. Had to throw that one away.
Third and 10 for Yale on the 13-yard line of Bucknell. Grooms looked right, now comes back center, throws, end zone, touchdown, Bulldogs. David Pantelis.
Pantelis has become the go-to guy for Grooms, without question. That's another great route. Got himself open just inside of the safety and over the backer.
Jack Bosman on for the extra point attempt. Here's the snap, the spot, the boot. It's up in the air. It is good. And it is Yale 7, Bucknell 3 with 3:14 left in the second.
Fans be sure to stop by the concession stand.
7-3 lead with 3:14 left in the first half. Boots the ball deep downfield, taken on about the 1 yard line by the Bison, and Damian Harris takes it to the 20.
Yale's got a couple timeouts left. I think you'll definitely see them use them if they can stop Bucknell here on first down. That was a crucial drive for Yale. That's the first real offense they've shown in the whole game. They went 97 yards, 13 plays, big time possession, converted some third downs. It's the first time they've done any of those things in the game. A couple of very good run plays, well blocked plays. Just seemed to have calmed themselves down.
Grady off the play fake, looking to go deep on the right side. Incomplete. Intended receiver was Akeo Ayungo.
Bucknell's pass game has basically consisted of trying to hit the big one on the takeoff and then a couple of screens and a little short. They don't seem to have any intermediate game, or I think they're a little concerned with the Yale pass rush in terms of leaving him in the pocket. But that's about the third or fourth shot down the field they've taken.
Grady, the sophomore out of Manhattan Beach, California, throws quickly, complete. Damian Harris, and Harris is tackled after a gain of 4 to the 24-yard line. It was Kyle Ellis, the senior out of Cumming, Georgia, who made the stop. So 3rd and 6 coming up for the Bison.
This kid's hurt.
And there is a Yale player slow to get up, so they're going to take a look at him, and we will step aside. Yale 7, Bucknell 3, late in the first half here at Yale Bowl in New Haven. That was the junior from Frisco, Texas.
Tremendous pressure from the Yale front. Just a 4-man rush. 2 guys came clean. And again, one of the reasons Bucknell doesn't have that intermediate pass game, they just don't give the quarterback enough time. He's either got to get it out on a quick release, or he's got to throw the screen, funnel screen, that type of game. Anything intermediate, they're having trouble with pressure.
Reed Nickerson was in the area as well. That Texas tandem up there on that Yale defensive front. As you said, 2 out of the 4 got there and caused havoc. And the punt will set Yale up very well. 2:29 left first half. Yale with a 7-3 lead, and they're going to get the ball back at their own 41-yard line with 2 timeouts remaining. So they've got plenty of time to run whatever they want.
Exactly. They have plenty of time. You have 2:29 with 2 timeouts. You've got 60 yards to go. You just got to put together a good, consistent drive, which they showed the ability to do on the last drive. Avoid the penalties and run the offense.
Trey Peterson in the backfield along with Nolan Grooms. Peterson gets the call on first down and picks up a couple. Ben Allen, the senior out of White House, Ohio, made the stop on Peterson. 2nd and 7 coming up for the Bulldogs. It'll be under 2 minutes when they get this snap off. Grooms takes to the gun, quickly throws out to the far side, completes it. First down for the Bulldogs on that right side of the field. That is Jay Brunel.
Big first down. Great job getting the ball out of bounds, saving them a timeout. And now in Bucknell territory.
So 1st and 10 for Grooms and the Bulldogs. Peterson flanking him in the backfield. Brunello had that catch, is out of Paxton, Massachusetts. 1st and 10. Grooms takes, plants, all kinds of time. Now throws underneath and completes it to Lindley, who's tackled immediately and picks up only a yard or 2.
Great tackle.
That was Blake Leak, the junior out of Culpeper, Virginia, who made the stop. Second down and 8. Fake the handoff, pursued. Grooms tries to avoid it. Now will throw it away into the Yale bench. And it sets up a 3rd and 8 with 1:23 left in the first half.
Again, Yale's had a lot of trouble with Bucknell's edge pressure. I think they have still having trouble sorting out who's actually in the pass rush with this little bit of an unusual defense that Bucknell plays. He got spooked out of the pocket immediately. Edge guy was unblocked, had to run away from him.
3rd and 8 for the Bulldogs. Groom stepping up, throws it, and it is deflected and intercepted. Picked off by the Bison off of the ricochet. Brent Jackson, the senior from Denton, Texas. Tipton was the intended receiver, and it tipped right out of Tipton and into Jackson.
Bucknell came with a 3-man rush, played max pass defense, had great coverage, and ball deflected, made a big-time play in the secondary.
So now Bucknell has 2 timeouts left with 1:18. Now their big plays have been runs. That's how they've gotten their big chunks of yardage in that first quarter especially. The Yale defense really kind of stifled them so far in the second quarter. They bring Alex Brown back in at quarterback, the freshman out of Rumson, New Jersey. 1:18 to go until the half. Yale 7, Bucknell 3. And that bounces. But that was big because Bucknell got the ball first in the first half. So the Bulldogs could have had that whole, Belichick is the king of it. Run it out right until the very end of the first half, get it in the second half, and the next thing you know, the game is totally changed before you get the ball back. But that interception gives Bucknell a chance and kept Yale from adding points.
Exactly. Anytime you can score on 2 consecutive drives, that's a huge momentum swing.
The handoff goes to Rashawn Baker. Baker fights his way out across the 30. Yale will give up yards like that for, at this stage of the game, anytime they can.
Yale's doing a much better job setting the edge in the run game. They've seem to have the run game more under control. Bucknell really struggling to throw the football with any effectiveness here in the second quarter.
And Grady comes back in. Ethan Grady, the sophomore QB out of Manhattan Beach, California. And quick throw from Grady, completes it to Harris. Damian Harris picks up the first down for Bucknell with 22 seconds left in the first half. Timeout, Bucknell. That leaves them with 1.
Bucknell calls the first timeout for the half.
That was a nice third down conversion. Again, ball out quickly. They just funnel screen. Did a good job after the catch. It gets a big first down.
So we take another look at the interception. as Tipton was the intended receiver, well covered, and it went right into the hands of Brown for the Bison. Brent Jackson, excuse me. It was Brent Jackson who made that interception. Brown comes out as he started this drive to the quarterback position, and Ethan Grady back in for Bucknell. Here's Grady throwing and completing it over the middle, but again with now just 17 seconds left. And Bucknell calls its final timeout. Perhaps they're trying to get close enough to just chuck one up there for a Hail Mary and give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean they got time. They can throw it up down the field twice. Probably throw the takeoff ball. Hope that someone can go up and make a catch on a 50-50 ball. You can always spike it. And, you know, obviously trying to get into field goal range.
That scoring drive from Yale, going back to it, was 13 plays, 97 yards. They had begun at their own 3-yard line, and the word methodically went downfield is quite apt because they had some third down conversions. It was a really impressive drive for the Bulldogs that led to their only points of the game. 17 seconds left, first half. No more timeouts for Bucknell. Fake the handoff. Grady buying some time and some room. Now throws, and it is going to be ruled incomplete, out of bounds on that far sideline with 10 seconds left.
That was ruled out of bounds.
And you can see that is the right call. Damian Harris, the intended receiver. So it's third down, but there's 10 seconds left and no timeouts in the half left for Bucknell. But Yale. And now they're going to review the ruling of it being an incomplete pass. From the angle we saw, I thought it was the right call.
You already made the call.
I did. So that means
I don't know why they bother.
I have no standing, Jack. We'll hopefully get another look at it or two. The replay booth is a few booths down from us on that sideline. As we take a look, Damian Harris, of course, you only got to get one in.
You're not going to make a decision off of that look.
The fact that the ruling on the field was that it was incomplete, I don't see anything yet. That looks to me that you certainly cannot conclude that it was a catch off of that. And I think the official who was right there did get it right. But of course, they'll take a look at it. And we're going to have an announcement here. It was right all along. Ruling on the field stands. It's incomplete.
You could have saved them a lot of time.
Well, the first half was moving at too good a pace, so that, you know, why let a good thing stand? So it is now 3rd and 5. Again, no timeouts, 10 seconds left for Bucknell. Yale with a 7-3 lead over the Bison. Here's Grady. And the handoff is given to Baker. And a flag comes in very late.
Yeah, Coach Reno wanted a timeout, wanted to take a shot at blocking the punt. And now we got a penalty.
And a Yale player slow to get up. It is Reed Nickerson, the senior from Friendswood, Texas, who is the Yale player slow to get up. Let's see what the flag is.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense, number 93, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. This is number 93's first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
So a lot happening here. Let's get it straight for you. Alvin Gully for Yale, the sophomore out of Belleville, Illinois, called for an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. That's going to give Bucknell
knocking that ball away. And the 97-yard drive, that's why Yale's ahead.
Ryan Schatzel kicks off to start the second half. And the Bulldogs out across the 20 and the 25-yard line. They'll start up at their own 29. That was Joey Felton, the junior out of Frederick, Maryland, on the return. So ball is just kissing the 30-yard line. Beautiful day for football in the New Haven area. Temperature rising through the 60s. It's about 66 degrees right now. Grooms barks the signals, gives the handoff. Trey Peterson, the junior out of Columbus, Georgia, across the 30 to the 32.
Statistically, this game really evened up in the second quarter. You know, Yale now has actually more total yards than Bucknell. One of the things that kind of struggling both teams on third down. Yale's 1 for 7. Bucknell, which has only been at 25% all year, is 3 for 10. So there's not been a lot of sustained drives. This is, I think, an important drive for Yale to get things going.
And Groom's pass is deflected, so it'll set up a 3rd and 8. It's also a nice day if you're a Bulldog, as in the literal sense. Not too hot, no rough elements, just a nice Saturday afternoon handsome Dan stroll. Hopefully someone will have some treats not too far, and hopefully his team can give him a few on the scoreboard as well. 3rd and 8 coming up. First offensive drive of the half for Yale. Grooms takes, throws, and that is Lindley. Lindley makes the catch for the first down for the Bulldogs across the 40-yard line. And moving the chains on the first series, always nice way to start a half.
And a third down conversion, which they haven't had many of. That was very good protection. Bucknell came with 5, came with 1 extra guy. Yale picked up the twist stunt, picked up the extra rusher, and Grooms had plenty of time in the pocket. Nice timing route.
Give the handoff again. This is Peterson, and this is what Peterson does. He just explodes through the first hole and keeps accelerating down to the 44-yard line of Bucknell.
That's a quick plus 13. And again, just stick the foot in the ground and go.
He had 173 yards rushing at a touchdown last week against Dartmouth. Swing pass, quickly caught by Pantelis, who's got the Yale touchdown, makes a man miss, gets the first down out on that far sideline, inside the 35 at the 33.
I think one of the unappreciated things about the Yale wide receivers is their ability to make the first guy miss. That tackle could have been made for a 1-yard gain. He turned it into an 11-yard gain. We've seen him have a couple of those. We've seen Tipton have 2 of those. It's a lot of hidden yardage in the game, those yards after the catch or after the first hit.
They faked it to Pitzenberger that time. What were you just talking about? Making the first person miss. Pantelis doing that again, getting another first down to the 20-yard line.
And again, instead of a 2-yard gain, it's a 13-yard gain. Great move. Really good with the ball after he catches it. And Yale's on a great drive here right now.
Joshua Pitzenberger, the first year out of Bethesda, Maryland, in the backfield now. A few nice runs from Peterson already on this drive. 1st and 10 for Grooms and company. He was 19 of 22 passing in the game last week against Dartmouth, and they've really picked it up here in the second quarter and now to start the third quarter for the Bulldogs today. Flushed out of the pocket. Grooms going to take it and do it himself inside the 15-yard line, sliding, and a flag comes in. I think he was hit late. Gain of 8 to the 12, and now we'll await the flag.
Yale's getting some big chunks on first down in this drive. Plus the penalty will be a 1st and goal.
After the play, personal foul, late hit, number 53 in the defense. Penalty will be half the distance to the goal. Automatic first
Cooper
down.
Kim called with the late hit on Grooms. Of course, it's so tough as he came in there. It's so tough for a defensive player because we've seen, not just on tape earlier in the year, Grooms doesn't always slide.
Right.
A lot of times he will lead with the shoulder, which makes him fair game. That time he slid. I think it's safe to say maybe by the book, but certainly there was clearly no ill intent from Cooper Kim on that play.
Without a doubt. And, you know, I think an awful lot of those, they're trying to avoid those headshots, and he did not do that.
He's going to be pursued from behind and brought down this time by that Bucknell defense. That was Will Oler, the sophomore out of Sudbury, Mass, who caught up to him. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 9. Oler played his high school ball at Lincoln Sudbury Regional. One of many, it seems, sophomores or freshmen or juniors on this Bucknell team. They only had a handful of seniors expected to be in there 2 deep, as they're a young program. Grooms thought about it and now cuts back in, just makes that decision and grinds his way into the end zone for the touchdown. Grooms has thrown for one. He's now run for a TD. And a flag comes in afterwards. 11:04 left in the 3rd. It's Yale 13, Bucknell 3.
Tremendous.
See what the flag is.
Tremendous effort by Grooms to get the ball in the end zone. He was hit, pretty much stood up at about the 3-yard line, forced his way in there. Tremendous drive to open the second half by Yale. Saw some things we haven't seen. So, you know, really good timing in the pass game. Guys making some plays that after the catch, converting 3rd down. Since the second quarter, that 97-yard drive, Yale's offense has looked more like what they did last week. Bucknell's defense has been on the field more. The first quarter, they were hardly out there. Now they've been out there quite a bit. That was another long drive, 4 minutes.
After the score, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the offense, number 76. That penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. We have a touchdown.
Jonathan Mendoza out of West Hampton Beach, New York, the Yale right tackle, called for unnecessary roughness after the play. So the touchdown stands. Okay, it might have been unnecessary roughness after the play, but that was essential toughness from Grooms during the play to get into the end zone. Look at that. Like we said, he leads with the shoulders sometimes, and that time he used that ricochet to power his way into the end zone for the score. Had a rushing touchdown last week when he ran for 90 yards against Dartmouth. Rushing touchdown today. The extra point attempt from Bosman is good. And it is Yale 14, Bucknell 3. 11:04 left in the 3rd quarter from the Yale Bowl in New Haven.
Great seats at a great price. Get them safer, simpler, and smarter with Ticket Smarter. A proud partner to the biggest names in live sports and events, including ESPN events and iHeartRadio. Ticket Smarter has seats for over 125,000 live events and 48 million tickets for sale. All backed with the Ticket Smarter 100% ticket guarantee. Thinking about your next great live event? Think smarter. Think Ticket Smarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed at ticketsmarter.com.
Life can be complicated, but the way we treat people, not complicated at all. Our teammates and our classmates, our neighbors and complete strangers. The ones that look like us and the ones that don't. People that we agree with and the ones we agree to disagree. How we respect one another and embrace our differences. How we treat one another. There is no in-between or other side. Listen to each other. Learn from each other. Act when you see what you don't believe. Expect equality. Life can be complicated. This part is not.
11:04 left, third quarter. Yale 14, Bucknell 3. That's a tone-setting drive and a way to open the half for Yale offensively. I'm sure they were given a pretty clear message at halftime.
Without a doubt, but I'll tell you, this is not a good way to finish that drive with a 15-yard penalty that now is going to give Bucknell some pretty good field position. That was a great drive, great way to start the second half. But you want to have the discipline to not have this situation arise.
Bosman's kick taken to the 27-yard line, out across the 30, out across the 40. This is Damian Harris, who we've talked about a ton today, the junior out of Durham, North Carolina, one of their big game players. And to your point, Bucknell with very good starting field position at its own 45, and you get the sense that offensively this could be a key drive for them. They had fits and starts, but ultimately only 3 points in that first half, despite really controlling much of the first quarter and a half of the game. We're still only able to put the 3 on the board. And the first down run is going to be wrapped up as Brashawn Baker loses a yard.
You know, Bucknell started out with 123 yards in the first quarter and 51 yards in the second quarter. And that's more in tune with what they've done for the seasons. I agree with you 100%. This is a very important drive for them to show that they are still going to generate offense.
2nd and 11 for Grady and the Bison. And one hops that. Looking for Josh Gary, had a catch earlier in the game. And it'll be 3rd and 11.
Yale seems to have shored up that front after giving up those big runs in the first half. Have not given up very much rushing yardage since. And passing yardage is almost non-existent for Bucknell in this game. They are now 5 for 15 for 35 yards.
So 3rd and 11, here's Grady, drills it, completes it, first down for the Bison into Yale territory. That was Okeyo Ayungo, the freshman from Rockville, Maryland, to the Yale 41-yard line.
That was excellent protection. Grady got an opportunity to actually step up in the pocket and throw an intermediate ball. And a really nice throw over the middle of the field and a big gain and into Yale territory, and really in one play because of that kickoff field position.
Quickly to the air again, and that is Damian Harris. And Harris down to the 34-yard line.
Well, both teams coming out showing some offense in the second half.
So there's a 2nd down and 3 coming up for Bucknell. Grady gives the handoff. Baker tries to bounce his way forward. Might have gotten a yard. Alvin Gully, the sophomore out of Belleville, Illinois, making the stop. Again, Yale without 2 of its key front people defensively right now, because both Nickerson and Oso Ifesinachuku were injured in that first half.
I would think this is 4-down territory for Bucknell, so you got 2 downs to get that 3 yards.
Here's a 3rd and short, fake, quick throw, complete to Harris. Harris gets the first down, cuts back inside the 20 to the 18.
Just like Pantelis, Harris showed a nice move off the catch behind the line of scrimmage, turned it into a 12-yard gain.
So 1st and 10 for Bucknell from the 18. Just already on this drive, showing a lot of resolve for an 0-5 team and a team that's lost 12 straight. They're also showing their hunger for a win. Baker takes it and stays on his feet for a gain of 3 to the 15.
This has been Bucknell's best drive of the game. They had a couple of big plays in the first half that got it, the real long run that got them down in the field goal. But this has been a very good drive. 2-3 first downs, because throwing it, run it, a little bit of balance, and have moved the ball about 40 yards, 50 yards.
Hamilton Moore, the junior out of Raleigh, North Carolina, had that last tackle for the Bulldogs on the 3-yard run. 2nd down, 7. Baker again. Baker unabated into the end zone. Touchdown, Bucknell. And with 7:28 left in the third quarter, it is Yale 14, Bucknell 9. So Bucknell is an extra point away from being within 4 points. Yale started the half with a statement drive. Bucknell counterpunched.
Hey, again, the penalty was just so costly on that kickoff. Give them great field position. They went 55 yards on their best drive of the game. And, a team that you had down and ready to maybe put away, hey, we got a football game now. This is going to go probably right down to the end.
And Bucknell had lined up there to go for 2 to try and make it a 3-point game, figuring the difference between, and so the score should read on the bar 14-9, as Bucknell is trying to, well, we'll see if they come out for 2 or 1. This was the touchdown.
And I think the reason they're going for 2, I think they feel that if they're going to win this football game, it's going to be, 20 points or, under to the winner. And down 4 if they make the extra point, down 3 if they get the 2 points. So now the field goal ties the game for you. So I think from a strategy standpoint, this is probably a very good decision by Bucknell. And they forced Yale to use a timeout very early in the second half.
The score is 14-9. Bucknell is lining up to go for 2. There we go. Great job by Stephanie and company all day so far today, as the 2-point conversion attempt is incomplete. And it is 14-9 with 7:28 left in the third quarter. Back with more from historic Yale Bowl after this.
2-point conversion incomplete.
14-9 Yale, midway through the third quarter with Jack Sidlecki. I'm Ron Vaccaro. Jack, both teams come out in the first drive of the second half, score a touchdown. Yale kicked the extra point. Bucknell missed its 2-point conversion attempt, thus the 5-point differential. This is the Bulldogs with a decent return by Joey Felton out to the 20-yard line.
I mean, those are two very good drives by both teams. Balanced, threw the ball, ran the ball. But we've eaten up half the quarter in a possession each. And Yale's a little bit tougher field position here.
Joshua Pitzenberger, the first year in the backfield, along with Grooms, the quarterback, the junior, out of Lake Wiley, South Carolina. Low snap, picks it up, avoids it, lost the ball. It's on the carpet, and he's going to chase after it, and Grooms will be all the way back at his 9-yard line to pounce on it, but it's a loss of 11. And it sets up 2nd and 21.
I hate to harp on it, but that penalty that gave Bucknell the field position, here's the difference. Now Bucknell kicks off, keeps Yale inside the 20-yard line on the return. One bad play, and now you're in big trouble. You're 2nd and 20, and down inside your own 10, looking to be giving up some tough field position here.
Yale needs to get up to the 30-yard line for a first down. They're at the 9. The handoff goes to Pitzenberger. He does not go very far at all. Got across the 10 to the 12. Be 3rd and 18 coming up for Yale.
One thing this Bucknell defense has done pretty consistently the whole game is the lateral runs, the outside zones, that type of play. They have maintained leverage, run a lot of people to the football, and have been pretty consistent in holding down that Yale run game on that type of play.
So 3rd and 18 for the Bulldogs. From their own 12, Grooms, number 12, throws. It is Mason Tipton who somehow held on to that despite getting walloped. And Tipton, the junior from Akron, Ohio, gives Yale the first down as Grooms put it right on the numbers, and the clothesline tackle, he held on to the ball.
What a throw and catch, and what a tremendous job hanging on to the football. And that's why you want to get the ball more to Tipton. He is a big play football player.
And they are reviewing that catch, not to see whether or not it was a catch, but they are reviewing for targeting to see whether there is a targeting on the defender who hit Tipton. So the officials will take a look, and that was Brent Jackson, who had that interception earlier today off the ricochet, who they're going to be taking a look at and see if we can get a good enough look to tell. As it was Brent Jackson, 31, and Jonathan Searcy, 21, who were there for the collision. And it would be Searcy, Jonathan Searcy, the senior from Medford, New Jersey, who made the contact with Tipton.
I mean, it looks like he hit him with the shoulder.
Yeah,
not with the helmet, but he definitely made a move to, hit that shoulder right up under the chin. But I don't think it's a helmet-to-helmet targeting type call.
So the officials taking a look at things. There are a few booths down from us. 5:40 to go, third quarter. Yale 14, Bucknell 9. Big first down for the Bulldogs as it is. And the question is whether or not there's going to be anything tacked onto it as a result of targeting. To my eye and the looks we've seen, I don't think there's a targeting to be called. As you can really see, it was kind of a glance. I mean, it happened really It was a momentum play more than a target, and the right call is made. No targeting on the play. But again, just an excellent job by Grooms and Tipton. And we talked about resiliency. Yale turned 2nd and 21 into 3rd and 18 into a first down. So for much of this first half, they weren't able to get any 3rd down conversions, and now they convert a 3rd and 18.
Right, that's the biggest one of the day. Let's get that straight.
Midway through the 3rd quarter. Bobbled the snap, gives it to Joshua Pitzenberger. Pitzenberger's wrapped up for a loss back at the 36-yard line, and that was Jack Barnes in on the stop. And we've got an injured Yale player. So the Yale medical staff going out to attend to the injured Bulldog. Trying to get a look who that might be. Looks like it is Nick Gargiulo, the Yale center. We'll check on him when we come back. Yale 14, Bucknell 9. Late stages, 3rd quarter. We got a good one in New Haven.
I was dealing with a lot of like dull pain through practice. Pain would be worse one day, feel a little better the next day, and then come right back. You know you want to be there for your team, and you're just out there trying to play through it as best you can. Where at one point it was something that I would think about for entire games. Now it's something that doesn't even come to mind when I'm playing, and I can play more free, and it's definitely a lot more fun that way.
This letter is for you. From what I hear, you're supposed to be the next Tom Brady. You're not the next Tom Brady. You're the next you. Compare yourself to nobody but the kid in the mirror. The one who knows that who you are today is just a piece of who you're going to become. Sincerely, Tom. You wrote it.
Fans at the out-of-town scoreboard involving Ivy League teams. Scores in the 2nd quarter. Penn 17, Columbia nothing. Cornell leading Lehigh 10-6. And New Hampshire leading Dartmouth 7-0.
As an athlete, for many of us, it remains a part of your identity really for the rest of your life. I was fortunate enough to have many people there helping me during my athletic career, and so to now be able to give that back to my patients, to be able to help them, is incredibly fulfilling.
Nick Gargiulo, the Yale center out of Yorktown Heights, New York, walked off into the medical tent under his own power. Good to see. 2nd down and 12 coming up for the Bulldogs. Grooms in the shotgun. Faked it to Peterson. And incomplete, looking for Tipton, who was drilled again. There's a flag. That was Brent Jackson, the senior from Denton, Texas, who delivered the hit that time.
It's going to be interesting to see if it's interference or targeting. I really didn't think it was interference. First view.
They're talking about it.
Personal foul. Targeting. Defense. Number 31. That play is under further review.
So they will review it because it is the targeting call this time against Brent Jackson.
That's what I thought it was going to be, because they didn't. If it was an interference, you would have had an indication from the officials initially, and hey, if they want to discuss it, discuss it. But the fact that they weren't, and it took some time, it's another targeting situation.
Bucknell led this game 3-0 for much of the game. They took that lead with 7:31 left in the first quarter. Yale didn't get on the board until 3:14 left in the second quarter. Took the 7-3 lead. into halftime. Yale opened this half with a touchdown drive to make it 14-3, and then Bucknell answered after a short field because of a late unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the touchdown against the Bulldogs. So Bucknell scored to make it 14-9. They went for 2, failed. That's why we're at the 5-point differential now. Bucknell looking for their first win in a long time. They've lost 12 straight games, 0-5 on the season. Yale enters today 3-1, 2-0 in the Ivy League. This is Yale's last non-league game of the year. 5 Ivy League games to finish the season, starting next week for the Bulldogs. Penn, Columbia, Brown, Princeton, and of course Harvard, the game in Boston this year for the first time in a few years because of the quirks of the schedule and the pandemic. As the targeting play under review still. And of course there are consequences. It's a weighty call to get right or not. Because he will be given a ticket to ride his way off the field if it is targeting. And here's what we will see. And there is no targeting on the play. And again, to the naked eye and what we were able to see, that seemed like the right call.
It did. It was a, impact collision at the point of attack, at the catch. I don't think there was any intent to, bury his helmet into him, and the receiver actually jumped a little bit for the ball, so he jumped up into it. Those are tough calls for the officials. So, you watch it, even in slow motion, it's hard. And they're watching it one shot.
So here is Grooms on 3rd down and long, and he is going to be bottled up and wrapped up for a sack. Ben Allen, the senior out of White House, Ohio, wraps up Grooms.
Good coverage downfield, couldn't find anybody, and everything collapsed on him. They didn't let him escape, which is what Grooms looks to do a lot. I think that's a huge stop for Bucknell.
So Bosman on to punt for the Bulldogs. Junior out of San Diego, California. Nice job getting the punt off. Comes down to Damian Harris inside his 30. Actually, that's Gavin Pringle. Pringle picks up about 5 to the 32. So Gavin Pringle, the senior out of Baltimore, Maryland. Played at Mount St. Joseph.
Bucknell just had their best drive of the game, and they get a good defensive stop. And now we'll see if they can keep the momentum on offense, keep the balance that they had in that last drive, and make this a tremendous football game.
Grady in at quarterback. He's been the quarterback, I'd say, for 85% of the game for Bucknell. Rashawn Baker joins him in the backfield. He had a few explosive runs in that first half. Here's Grady, plants, throwing deep left side, incomplete, too deep for Marcus Owens. Flag on the play. 2 of them, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I think we've got a hold on Yale. But the interesting thing, again, with Bucknell, they have not hit any of those long balls they've thrown. That is about, I would say that's probably the 5th one. I thought he had a step on that one, and maybe this penalty that we're going to see might be why he couldn't get to it. He might have got pulled on. But they have just not made a connection on any of those yet.
So the pass interference called, gives them that first down, and moves it to the 47-yard line. 4:08 left, 3rd quarter. Bucknell's second drive of the half. They scored a touchdown on their first. Because of the multiple reviews for 2 different potential targetings, neither of which were, and some penalties, this half has lacked some of the rhythm and cadence and clock movement of the first half, to the chagrin of most.
Well, we had 2 great drives to start it.
And as I say that, here's another flag.
Yeah, and now, I mean, we went 7.5 minutes. It was as quick as could be. And now these last 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes have taken forever.
So 2nd and 11 coming up. If it wasn't for the flag, we'll see.
Offense, number 23. 15-yard penalty. Second down.
And
This is number 23's first unsportsmanlike
so
conduct.
it's an unsportsmanlike penalty against Bucknell. That'll move them back. And here's the thing, Jack, and you've been talking about this. We saw an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Yale earlier in the half. We see one now against Bucknell. There have been some hits that weren't targeting but reviewed, and those were the right calls. But one thing you don't want to see is this game become, an unsportsmanlike conduct fest, because that really serves neither program any good. Pass is incomplete as Grady threw quickly and too deep for Damian Harris.
And the thing with that penalty, that just like the penalty against Yale, how it changed the field position, that penalty against them, they just had their best offensive drive of the game. And now they put themselves in a 3rd and 25, and they're not that kind of team. They've been, that last drive was a couple of nice underneath throws, one intermediate ball, some pretty good runs. They're not the type of team that's going to convert this very often.
They are at their own 29-yard line, their own 31-yard line. They need to get down to the Yale 43. Underneath, that's not going to get it done. That'll pick up about 9 yards up to the 39. It will be 4th and long. So the punting unit will come on for Bucknell.
Why did they stop the clock?
There it goes. They had the clock stopped for a little bit there. Now it's running again. 3:14 and counting down. Here's the punt. A booming punt. Lindley makes the catch to the 20, has room to the 35, to the 40. Ryan Lindley out to the 45-yard line. So you want to talk about the impact of the penalty plus the punt return from Lindley. Yale is taking over shy of where the Bucknell line to gain would have been for the first down when that drive had been its progression.
And probably the best field position they've had in the entire game. This has been punters have been very good. There's been some long drive situations, and this is an opportunity again. The big penalty could be the swing and momentum again.
Trey Peterson in the backfield. And Grooms will take it on the right side and get out to the 49-yard line for a gain of 4.
I thought Bucknell had that play defended pretty well. They bounced it to the outside, but a missed tackle, or Grooms making a miss the tackle, it ended up being a 5-yard gain.
This time it is Peterson with a jolt forward and then spins his way and gets right to that first down marker at the Bucknell 45. That'll move the chains for Yale.
Got a pretty good spot there.
So the Bulldogs with 2:16 left in the third quarter. Fake to Peterson this time. Grooms pursued, avoids it. Grooms now will launch it downfield. Dangerous pass, and it is intercepted. Alex Smith, the sophomore out of Charlotte, North Carolina, played at Hickory Ridge, comes down with the pick. And Bucknell will take over at its own 4-yard line.
That was a poor decision by Grooms. The one positive part of it is the field position that Bucknell's inheriting here at the 4-yard line. But, you know, he had the ball in Bucknell territory, opportunity to get a score, and just kind of threw that one up there with double coverage, hoping that his guy could come up with it.
Now, Bucknell had some big runs from both Baker and Muser in that first half that helped them escape from field position such as this. We'll see if that's going to work for them again, if that can strike twice.
Yale is, the first half they had some gap issues on defense, and then that touchdown that Bucknell scored in the second half was the same type of thing.
Grady faked the handoff to Muser, avoids pursuit, now will loft it over there on that far side, incomplete. Was looking in the direction of Muser.
But overall, since those couple of big runs in the first half, Yale has really shut down the Bucknell run game. And they definitely have better gap control, better job with that type of thing. In the first half, they definitely had some issues in terms of where they were filling and where they were missing.
Second down for Ethan Grady and Bucknell. They'll pick up about half of it on the ground out to the 7-yard line. As Muser got the call again, the junior out of Dallas, PA.
It's a big third down for the Yale defense. They need to get off the field, give their offense good field position. Big play for Bucknell.
Noah Pope had the tackle on that last play as Grady put way too much under that one, but he was feeling the heat.
He got hammered, and put it that way. And that, again, that's that long ball that they have attempted now 6 or 7 times and have not made a connection on it yet. They got one pass interference a little bit earlier, but he was under tremendous pressure, and now Yale has an opportunity.
So Bucknell has Ruben Anderson punting from his own end zone, deep in it. Yale's return man is standing in Bucknell territory, and he will move forward to make this catch. That's Lindley, catches it at the 44, inside the 40, down to the 31-yard line. They'll spot it officially, it looks like, at the 32. That's the Bucknell 32, so Yale has excellent field position with this 5-point lead.
So the last 2 Yale possessions have been the 2 best field positions they've had in the entire day. This one is exceptional, obviously, being at the Bucknell 32.
Jonathan Durand is in at center for the Bulldogs, as he has been since Nick Gargiulo walked off with an injury. Durand is a junior out of Gilbert, Arizona. So Durand, the center for the Bulldogs. Grooms play fake, drills middle, incomplete. Looks like it was behind Pantelis.
Yeah, Pantelis ran a good route. I think it was an option route where he could turn in or out. He turned in, and Grooms threw out. He was wide open.
Groom 16 of 23 today after being 19 of 22 last week. Make it 16 of 24. Looking for Pantelis again. And it'll be 3rd and 10 coming up for the Bulldogs from the Bucknell 32.
Yale's run a lot of that funnel screen and bubble type stuff. That time they faked it, tried to get the go ball off of it, just overthrown. And pretty well covered by Bucknell also.
Not to get ahead, but with a 3rd and 10 from the 32, Bosman's season-long field goal was a 42-yarder. Had a 41-yarder last week. This would be about a 49-yarder. We know he's got a booming leg. He's also the Yale punter. 3rd and 10 for the Bulldogs from the Bucknell 32. Here's Grooms looking, flushed, doesn't see anything he likes, still doesn't. Back across the field, back at his own 45, and now we'll just throw it into the Bucknell sideline, incomplete. The player tracking technology on that one would would have lapped itself about 3 times. So Yale takes over at the Bucknell 32 and manages to not get a single yard. It'll be 4th down and 10 from the Bucknell 32, and it's really kind of that no man's land, so you're going to go for it here.
Yeah,
Field goal be too long.
Bucknell came with the 3-man rush there. Max pass defense. Looks like they're going to do the same thing here. 3-man rush.
So 4th and 10 for the Bulldogs, leading by 5. Grooms takes from the gun. Looking left side for Tipton, picked off, intercepted by Bucknell. That is the Bison's 3rd interception of the day. That is Jonathan Searcy with the pick, and Bucknell will start at its own 2-yard line. And the only thing you can say, Jack, is sometimes they say an interception's as good as a punt. It's plays like this that mean that, but Yale, when you take over 1st and 10 on the Bucknell 32, you're not thinking get no yards and pin them at the 2. You're thinking points, and they didn't get it.
And Bucknell should have the ball at Yale's 32-yard line. He should have just knocked that ball down. Now they're at their own 2.
Yeah.
They got the same problem they had on the last drive where they were inside the 5. And that just, a little bit of a football IQ deal there.
Yeah. So the handoff to Baker, and he is barely, they're going to give him credit for barely getting out of the end zone.
Yeah, you had him. They let him escape. He bowled his way out of there. Great effort to get it out of the end zone.
So it is going to be 2nd and 11 from the 1. There is a Bucknell player slow to get up. 39 seconds left in the 3rd quarter that has taken forever. Ever since we got to the halfway point of it, it like ran into a brick wall in terms of pacing. As they'll tend to the injured Bucknell player. It is a 14-9 game. If you're just joining us, Bucknell had the early lead 3-0 about the halfway point of the 1st quarter and held that much of the 1st half until about 3 minutes and change left in that 1st half before Yale took the 7-3 lead. That was the score at halftime. Yale scored first in this 3rd quarter. Grooms ran it in, so it was 14-3 Yale, and then Bucknell answered and made it 14-9, missed their 2-point conversion. The injured Bucknell player was Baker, who was just able to get it out of that end zone to prevent a safety, which would have exacerbated the point you were making, Jack, about they shouldn't have had it this deep. If they had just knocked the ball down on 4th down, they would have had it back up at their own 32. So it is 2nd and 11 from the 1. Grady, pressure coming, and just flings it. He hit the stick. The ball hit the 2nd down marker there on the far sideline. It'll be 3rd and 11 from the 1, and there's the flag for grounding. I think it's going to be grounding anyway. Should be.
So that's a safety.
Which would mean that there's going to be that safety that they narrowly avoided. And there it is. So that makes the score Yale 16, Bucknell 9. So the Bulldogs have a 7-point advantage.
If you're Bucknell, that's just such a deflator. I mean, their defense did a great job stopping Yale. Yale gets the ball at the 32-yard line going in, and Yale stopped them and stopped them on 4th down, but made the interception 2 plays in a row that Yale almost made in the end zone, got it on the 2nd one. Now going to get the kickoff with field position and now have a 7-point lead. I was a little surprised that they went to throw the football because he's been under tremendous
And the fair catch is called for and made by Lindley.
Fair catch called by 16, Ryan Lindley.
And the Bulldogs will take over on their own 25.
That was a tremendous punt, but I'm a little surprised at the fair catch call.
Yeah. Looked like he had some real estate. Of course, back when you were head coach, you had some returners who didn't know what a fair catch was.
One in particular.
Here's the handoff to Trey Peterson, the junior out of Columbus, Georgia. Out to the 30-yard line, a gain of 5. Peterson on the day. That was his 9th carry, and he has 60 yards gained for a net of 57. So 9 runs, 57 yards. That's over 6 yards a carry.
And a lot tougher yards this week, though, than last week. This Bucknell front has done an excellent job running the football, keeping people on their feet, and making plays.
And mercifully, we have reached the end of the third quarter with the score, Yale 16, Bucknell 9. Back to the Yale Bowl after this. Start of the fourth quarter at the Yale Bowl in New Haven, 16-9. Bulldogs in the lead, 2 touchdowns and a safety for Yale. A field goal, a touchdown, and a failed 2-point conversion for Bucknell. 2nd and 5, Grooms takes, looks, flushed, buys some time, slings it, and it is into the arms of a Bucknell defender. That would be Gavin Pringle. Pringle running the wrong way. back, late flag comes in. That looked like it was another deflection. That would be the 4th interception of the game if it is a pick, as we look as Grooms threw it, and it was a deflection right into the arms of Pringle, and then Pringle lost about 10 yards trying to make something happen. Don't blame him. And then the flag came in.
Flag on the play.
On the return, personal foul, face mask. The offensive team, 15-yard penalty.
So a face mask called against Yale. As you see that Pat just a great job by Pringle to take that and bring that in. That is the 4th interception that Grooms has thrown today. He's now 17 of 31. He's thrown for a touchdown, ran for one. And Bucknell, I mean, this is deja vu. And if Yogi Berra was here, he'd say all over again. 1st and 10 for Bucknell in Yale territory, starting the drive on the Yale 38-yard line. As Grady keeps and loses a yard, so it'll be 2nd 11 from the 39, and that was not Grady. That was their other quarterback who's come in, Alex Brown. So Brown's played about 20% of the snaps today at quarterback, maybe 15 to 20% of the snaps, and 2nd and 11 now. He's more inclined to run from that quarterback position. And here's the reverse. And this is Owens. And Owens is going to lose more yards. So 1st and 10 from the Yale 38 has become 3rd and 12, or 3rd and 13 from the Yale 41.
We've seen a lot of mistakes in the last 8 or 9 minutes of football here. Penalties, turnovers, bad decisions, and we still got a football game. I mean, it's a close game.
7-point game. 3rd and 13 from the Yale 41. Bucknell, if you told Bucknell that they'd have intercepted the Yale quarterback 4 times today and only have 9 points to show for it so far, you'd have to be disappointed. And a flag comes in as Grady was back in at quarterback. That looks like a delay. And that'll happen sometimes when you are rotating in quarterbacks.
Yeah, he looks a little frustrated with that one.
So that'll move them back even further. So it is now 3rd down, 18 from the Yale 46. Need to get to the 28 of the Bulldogs for a 1st down. And as we've said a few times, this is not an offense built to convert 3rd and 18s from what we've seen. The handoff coming around to Muser, and Muser will get back inside the 45. It's about the 43-yard line, picked up all of 3 yards. And it sets up 4th down and 15 from the 43 of Yale.
I mean, both teams have had great opportunities here in the second half, especially in the last 8 or 9 minutes. And penalties and mistakes have just hampered both offenses.
4th and 15 for Bucknell. And it's a try and catch Yale by surprise punt, and it's going to take a Bucknell roll, and they'll down him at the 10-yard line. So with 12:22 left in the ball game, Yale with a 7-point lead, about to get the ball at its own 10-yard line. We'll see Grooms and company when we come back.
Great seats at a great price. Get them safer, simpler, and smarter with Ticket Smarter. a proud partner to the biggest names in live sports and events, including ESPN events and iHeart Radio. TicketSmarter has seats for over 125,000 live events and 48 million tickets for sale, all backed with the TicketSmarter 100% ticket guarantee. Thinking about your next great live event? Think smarter. Think TicketSmarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed, at ticketsmarter.com.
Rico.
Life can be complicated,
Study at Yale.
but the way we treat
Yale Club
people,
of New York.
not complicated at all.
Avello Airlines.
Our teammates and our
Live
classmates,
parking.
our neighbors and
Jersey
complete
Mike.
strangers.
And
The
Yale
ones
Medicine.
that look like us and the ones that don't. People that we agree with and the ones we agree to disagree. How we respect one another and embrace our differences. How we treat one another. There is no in-between or other side. Listen to each other. Learn from each other. Act when we see what you don't believe. Expect equality. Life can be complicated. This part is not.
12:22 to go in the ball game. Yale 16, Bucknell 9. Bulldogs with the ball at their own 10-yard line to start this drive. And if there was ever a time when Tony Reno would like to reestablish his offensive identity of some ball control, whether through a pass like that or the run, it would be this drive with a 7-point lead. Pickup of 5 on the first down throw. Mason Shipp made the catch, the sophomore out of Moreau Township, New Jersey.
This second half, and since the first two drives, has just been a story of missed opportunities for both teams. Tremendous field positions for offenses, and then not doing it. I like the quick kick call, put Yale back.
Quick pass out to Pantelis. Pantelis gets the first down, out across the 25 at the 26.
That's another one of those behind the line of scrimmage throws. Plus 12 play for Pantelis. He's had several of those today. First two plays, both balls thrown behind the line of scrimmage.
And they had the tight end Jackson Hawes split out on that same side on that play as well. And both he and Tipton took care of their guys, which opened up that lane and helped for Pantelis.
All those plays are glorified running plays. They give the quarterback another completion, but they're basically runs.
This is a impressive run that's still going for Joshua Pitzenberger, the Yale first year, and he moves it all the way up to the 46-yard line before being stopped.
3 real positive plays for Yale, and they get themselves out from the shadow of their goalposts and see where they can go from there.
20-yard gain for Pitzenberger. He's now got 6 carries for 34 yards on the day. He gets it again. His 7th touch is another good one out to midfield for Pitzenberger. Had 6 carries for 7 yards last week, and now he's at 7 carries and over 40 yards this week.
Yeah, he never really got in a rhythm at all last week. He's seen a little bit more playing time in this game. He's had some positive plays. Both backs they've earned tough yards today. This Bucknell front's been very, very good.
Trey Peterson back in the backfield for the Bulldogs, a junior out of Columbus, Georgia. And Peterson gets the call this time, running on that right side of the O-line, gets the first down for Yale inside the 45 to the 44.
Tackle 21, Cersei.
Under 10 minutes to go in the ball game. The Bulldogs with 2 touchdowns and a safety. That's how they've gotten to 16. Bucknell with a touchdown, failed 2-point conversion attempt, and a field goal. Grooms keeps himself, pinballing his way through the middle, and gets another Bulldog first down inside the 35 at the 33-yard line. There is an injured Bucknell player back in the backfield, and we will step aside as There are 9:45 left in the second quarter. They have a 7-point lead now, 9 minutes to go in the ball game. Having an effective drive again, Peterson will bounce it and get the first down inside the 25 at the 23.
Yeah, Yale's finding some success on that right side behind Mendoza and Carhu.
Peterson, 12 carries for 75 yards. First and 10 for the Bulldogs. Give it to Peterson again, and Peterson crashes forward inside the 15 and grinds his way to the 14. That's a gain of 9. Sets up a 2nd and 1 on the Bucknell 14.
Yale starting to show some dominance up front these last few run plays. They really knocked them off the football there.
Under 8 minutes to go now in the ball game. Bulldogs with a 7-point lead. Looking to make it a 2-score affair. Grooms will keep himself. Grooms into the end zone for his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game. Nolan Grooms, and with 7:46 left in the game, it's now Yale 22, Bucknell 9.
Again, right side of the offensive line did a great job. Just washed everybody down. Grooms pretty much ran uncontested all the way down the 1-yard line before he even met anybody. Great drive.
Jack Bosman on to attempt the extra point to give Yale the 14-point lead. Snap, the spot, the boot up in the air, and it is good. And it is Yale 23, Bucknell 9, midway through the 4th quarter on a beautiful fall afternoon in New Haven.
Been going.
So here's Ethan Grady. And they give the handoff, and flag comes in. Very little doing.
Again, Yale, after giving up, those 3 or 4 big runs in the first half, has really done a good job up front defensively shutting down the run. Bucknell has really had the one drive, their first drive of the second half, where they moved the ball pretty consistently on about a 55-yard drive. But other than that, the Yale front has really shut down the run game, put a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
It was Paul Neal who had the carry that time for Bucknell. Now Danny Muser back into the backfield. The holding penalty sets them way back. That's been a recurring theme of those penalties, digging a big hole. Here's Muser, and he will pick up a couple to the 14 from the 12, and it's going to quickly be a very long situation for Bucknell here.
I mean, without a strong intermediate pass game, these situations just put you in tough shape.
Pass is complete to Akeo Ayungo, the freshman from Rockville, Maryland. And that's still not even back to the original line of scrimmage until he stretches it out and picks up 2 yards after. So it'll be 3rd and 8 coming up for Bucknell from the 24. So they picked up what was in front of them. And now it's 3rd and 8. Grady, pressure came, he throws, he gets it to Muser. Muser is going to be wrapped up shy of the first down. Brandon Benn out of Atlanta, Georgia, with a great job on the tackle, and it sets up a 4th down and 5.
Yale came with a lot of pressure off the front side. They tried to throw the screen basically right into the pressure and just really snuffed the play out. Did a really good job. Going to go for it here on 4th down and probably feel the situation. 2 scores, you got to get it.
4th and 5. 5.5 minutes to go. Grady takes. Time, throw incomplete. Intended receiver was Ayungo, and Yale forces the turnover on downs and takes over with a 2-score lead, 2-touchdown lead, and now the ball with 5:27 left in the ball game.
Bucknell tried to run a little option route. I thought they ran a pretty good route, just ball was overthrown.
So Grooms and company back on offense. Groomsman, as he's called. And Peterson gets it down to the 25-yard line. Pickup of 3. Yale just wants to keep
that clock moving.
That clock going.
Run the football, keep it inbounds, get a couple first downs. That's what they want to do. Bucknell came up, pretty good play on 1st down.
Second and 7 for the Bulldogs. This is Lindley coming around, and Lindley gets down to the 21-yard line. Pickup of 4, and it sets up a 3rd and 3. Lindley's had the ball in his hands a lot today. 3 catches for 21 yards. And that was his first run for 4. And he's a return man for the Bulldogs.
Return, right.
Be under 4 minutes to go as they snap this ball. This is Grooms getting a block from Peterson. Grooms with a cutback. Grooms into the end zone for his 3rd rushing touchdown of the game. The Yale quarterback sliced through the defense and basically puts it away for the Bulldogs. Yale 29, Bucknell 9 with 3:53 left to go.
Couple of great moves on that run. Cut it back and then made a move in the secondary to get the touchdown. Excellent run.
Bosman's extra point attempt hits off the left upright, bounces, and that'll be no good. So the score remains Yale 29, Bucknell 9. Back for the conclusion after this. So Grooms has had a hand in all 4 of Yale's touchdowns. The Bulldogs with 4 touchdowns, 1 missed extra point, and a safety. That's the math to 29. Desperation time for Bucknell, who played really close and really well for much of this game. But some of the key finer points of execution really escaped them. And you start to see why maybe a team has been in some close ball games, but hasn't turned that corner.
Right. I mean, offensively, they're not balanced enough. They just aren't making enough plays that down the field to make it. They had some big run plays, which really helped them early, but in terms of consistency offensively, they just don't have it. I've been pretty impressed with their defense. I know they have 3 seniors in the secondary. They have not let Yale get behind them. They've done a very good job up front. They've caused Yale a lot of problems in the front, and I think have played a really solid football game.
Danny Muser, the carrier that time. And again, if you're wondering maybe why the play call, I mean, plays just like that were actually some of their most effective early in that first half. And this pass attempt goes nowhere. There's just as many blue shirts in the area as there are white shirts for Bucknell, so it's quickly a common theme, 3rd and more than 10 coming up for Bucknell. It'll be under 3 minutes to go in the game when they snap the ball this time, down by 20. Shotgun snap to Grady, drills it over the middle, completes it to Owens. Marcus Owens to the 36-yard line. It'll bring up a 4th and 2. Type of play that if they hadn't dug the hole would have been first down.
Just too many negative plays, too many minus yardage plays and penalties. And penalties have put them in situations where they have not had a chance offensively to get the drive started, that type of thing. And on this drive, it's been more of the minus yardage. It's going to go for it again on 4th down.
4th and 2. Grady looking, throwing, he's got a man, and don't know if he had time to see him, so it'll fall incomplete. It's a turnover on downs, and the Bulldogs are 2 minutes and 6 seconds away from getting the win. As Grady had a guy wide open down the field, but
Yale completely lost him. He was 10 yards behind everybody, but he wasn't. He was looking left, not right. They came up with the quarterback under center, wanted to make it look like run, and went play action, tried to get it down the field. He had nobody on the left-hand side, but he had a guy running right through the middle of the field wide open.
So the Bulldogs take over again with 2:06 left, the 20-point lead. Handoff this time goes to Nathan Denny, the sophomore out of Georgetown, Texas. And Denny, boy, that Yale offensive line has really, really stepped up in the second half. He's quickly inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. Other scores, Penn leads Columbia 27-0. That's in the third. Lehigh is in front of Cornell 15-10. And New Hampshire leads Dartmouth 14-0. Those just starting the third. Harvard is at Howard in about 45 minutes. And last night, Princeton defeated Brown 35-19. Next week, it's all Ivy League play for all these teams. Yale will be at Penn. As the handoff again goes to Denny, who gets the first down, and that effectively ices it. I mean, it was already iced, let's face it, but math-wise, the Bulldogs get the fresh set of downs. Of course, Bucknell has 3 timeouts, but they're not going to do anything silly with them. Princeton's at Harvard on Friday night. Yale's at Penn next Saturday at 1. Cornell's at Brown Saturday at 12:30. Dartmouth is at Columbia Saturday at 1:30. As Yale goes into the victory formation. Take the knee. That is Austin Tudis, the sophomore out of Tampa. And Tudis will take the final knee, and that'll do it with the final score, Yale 29, Bucknell 9. So it was Bucknell had the 3-0 lead for half of the first quarter, much of the second quarter, until Yale took the lead 7-3 before halftime. And the Bulldogs essentially pulled away in the second half, though there were a few moments that turned pivotal where had Bucknell been crisper, things might have been able to be different. But as it is, Bucknell falls to 0-6. Yale goes to 4-1. It is all Ivy League play from here on out. Jack, some big injuries for Yale that they'll have to follow up on defensively as they get into the Ivy League season. But overall, 4-1. Tony Reno will probably see some things he wants to address, but probably will be happy with the way his team responded in the second half to the adversity and overcame it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like every game, there's those pluses